So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hyben. All right, Rockstar Nation, I have a special show for you today. It is the Wednesday news show. I got a news show that I've put together just for you based on very, very timely news for today. Yes, today. So we're going to try out this format. If you guys like it, we will continue it because there's so much happening with real estate news, real estate brokerages, things changing in the industry, that I thought a short news program every single Wednesday would serve the Rockstar Nation the best. Of course, Monday and Fridays will be our regular shows, and I'm calling this State of the Market. Hope you enjoy it, and let us know what you think. Send us an email to info@rebusuniversity.com, or simply go onto Facebook and go to Next Level Agents. If you're not a member, please join, or just go to Real Estate Rockstars with Pat Hyben. There's another one out there now, so go to Real Estate Rockstars with Pat Hyben and join that too. Give us a comment. Any feedback is greatly appreciated. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, Rockstar Nation. Thanks for tuning into the State of the Market podcast with your host, Pat Hyben and Kevin Kaufman.
Pat Hyben, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Kevin? Welcome to the State of the Market.
Yeah, so happy to be back this week talking about the real estate world and all that's going on with you on the State of the Market episode.
Yeah, good time. So what's good in the news, brother?
Dude, I'll tell you something that caught my eye right away. At first, to be honest, like I saw this in a Facebook group first, and that was Brad Inman had posted something to the effect of, hey, there's when I go to Zillow, I feel like I'm seeing Zillow listings first before I see the other listings in the marketplace. What's going on with that? So that caught my eye for sure. And then sure enough, of course, they went out and wrote an article about that. And so that's fairly interesting. What's your take on that, Pat?
Well, there's a delay on here, but it's fascinating. So the way I see it, and I've been thinking about this a lot, is I believe one day Zillow will be a real estate company. I mean, I think that, they've said before that they don't plan on it, but everything changes and plans change and investors change and owners change. And this smells like a real estate company, right? So basics of this, so you can understand it, is, if Zillow buys a house, like I'll buy your house for cash, right? Someone raises their hand and says, yeah, buy my house for cash, pay me $100,000. And then they buy it, they settle on it. Then Zillow fixes it up and puts it back on the market for $130,000, making a profit on it. Those listings show up on the first and second page when you go to Zillow and type in an area or zip code. The ones on the third, fourth, fifth page are the RE/MAX, the Keller Williams, the Prudential, everybody else, right? Any MLS. So they're prominently displaying theirs, which is fine. It's their prerogative, right? They're allowed to do this. Now, the big challenge comes when they begin to list houses of their own, not that they own like these, not their flips, but when they have Zillow Real Estate, and Kevin Kaufman is an agent at Zillow Real Estate, and then pages 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all Zillow Real Estate, then the consumer says, man, I want to list my house with Zillow Real Estate because they're winning the war on SEO. And the fact of the matter is, it's so difficult for agents, and it's so difficult for many companies, especially, 55% of all companies are independent companies, so not, big conglomerates. So it's so hard for them to compete against Zillow in the SEO game. And so it's just a big unfair advantage. I see that as a future. I actually started buying Zillow personally in my stock portfolio because I just see that as it's going to be a tough climb. It's going to be a hard war to win. I could be completely wrong, but anyways, that's what it says to me. That's my opinion. I mean, what do you think?
I think you're dead on, Pat. You nailed it. And obviously, so the company they've confirmed it, that they are running tests on Zillow.com and also on the mobile apps for the homes that they've listed themselves, or the homes that they now own. So to me, yeah, it's kind of a no duh. Saw this one coming a mile away. Why wouldn't they? They're the number one brand in real estate. They're the number one website with traffic wise in real estate. And if they're going to be in the business of buying and selling homes, I guess to me, it's sort of a obvious, yeah, I get it. Of course they're going to. And again, coming back to it, just putting my real estate agent hat on, it's just part of what I got to compete with these days. Like, I've got to live with these guys. I've got to find a way to still find my, I guess, piece of the pie, for lack of a better word, inside the market as a real estate agent, knowing that I'm now competing against Zillow for mind share and for advertising space, et cetera. Instead of just buying advertising from them, I've now got to compete with them. And I get it. It's part of, to me, I like it. It keeps me on my toes. It forces me to constantly be aware, be ready to make changes, and to constantly challenge what I think I know. And at the same time, to your point, most of the companies are smaller companies and don't have the ability from a brokerage level to help their agents navigate this. And I think if we're being real honest, this is it's gonna eventually hurt the smaller agent.
Absolutely. And I think that, the world, Kevin, is going from, and I believe going towards, instead of having, I see Sally Smith signs in my area, and then I drive past the corner and there's a Sally Smith real estate company, that I can walk in and stuff. With the internet, there's really no borders. So it's going to be like, well, every time I log on to the website, I see Zillow, right? Or I see this company or that company. And I sort of see a consolidation of companies, in that you'll have some companies that just get larger and larger and larger, just like anything else in most places. You know what I mean? You only have so many car makers. You only have so many cigarette brands. You only have so many cereal brands. You know what I mean? And in real estate, if you think about it, there's so many different real estate companies, right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, right? So I see the internet kind of just scratching the record a little bit. And I think Zillow's primed to do it. And I think there's others out there that are primed to do it. And it's all about the web presence, 100% about the web presence and the power to do it. And here's the thing, like, a lot of people think that, that these big companies won't be afraid to just punch you in the face and steal your backpack. Right? But, 6 months of loss and 6 months of a stock plummeting, and you got all these shareholders and people complaining, and, the CEO gets fired, new people step in, and they do what they need to do to survive and raise the stock price. That's the bottom line. And if that means getting in the real estate business and screwing over the people that have been paying them all these years, I think that's just a matter of time.
Pat, my perspective on this too is that this is a challenge to us as realtors. And, especially I think those who are already comfortable with social media, already use it as part of their strategy, have an advantage to be able to compete, if you will. Because let's face it, I'm never going to build a website, at least about real estate, that competes with Zillow, most likely. I mean, they're the monster in the industry. And the chances of me going out and starting a real estate blog about Phoenix that can compete with Zillow are slim to none. And so, but what I can do is I can make sure to a small number of people, whether that's, my sphere, my past clients, a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 people, that I do appear to be anywhere and everywhere and always on their mind about real estate. But that requires focus from me. It requires my going out and using and leveraging things like social media that cost little to no money, but can help me appear to be as big, if you will, in the minds of certain people, just as big as Zillow is to the public.
Amazing read for agents who want to blow their business up. 6 Steps to 7 Figures was an amazing read. Pat breaks it down into simple, actionable steps that, if taken, will almost guarantee 7-figure success in the real estate sales business. Couldn't recommend this enough. Wow. Thank you for the awesome Amazon review, Garo215. Now, do you want to get your hands on this book for free and blow your business up? Here's how. Go to free6stepsbook.com. That's free, S-I-X, stepsbook.com right now. Or simply text the word PAT to 444-999. That's text PAT to 444-999, and I'll send you a free book.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, it'll be interesting to watch. You know what I mean? It just seems like they're just inching in more and more and more every couple of months, and it is what it is. It's their prerogative, and we should have never gave up to MLS. 15, 20 years ago. It's our own fault. So, what are you gonna do? Let's. What else we got good in the news?
So, this one came up. You and I were talking about it. You've got daughters. I've got daughters. I've got agents that I work with, and there's a new safety device, a mobile safety device for realtors. And, especially timely. There was another realtor tragically killed yesterday. And I don't know the details of it. I don't know that they were necessarily in the field, but it just popped up. Karen and I talked about this a few weeks ago. Gosh, man, we keep hearing so much more about realtors being injured and attacked and unfortunately killed in a lot of cases. And there's this new device by a company called Katana that attaches to the smartphone that will audibly alert bystanders as well as local authorities, etc. Share your location with them and let them know something wrong is going on. And it's small. It literally attaches to the back of a phone. So, I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Absolutely. It's like OnStar, that people put in OnStar, which actually solves tons of crimes and carjackings. And anytime a car is stolen, if you got OnStar, it's like money, getting it back. But it's for people walking down the street, and everybody has their cell phone with them now. And I remember, on Real Estate Rockstars episode 572, I had Carl Carter, whose mom was Beverly Carter. She's the most famous and one of the first who was murdered showing a house. She was out showing a house to a couple, and she had confirmed their, names, emails, everything. It was a vacant house. She made sure it was during the day. She took all the right precautions, but unfortunately it was empty. And they killed her. And they actually kidnapped her first. And then they ended up killing her. And Carl came on and told this heart-wrenching story. Episode 572, if you guys want to listen to it. But, he was a huge advocate of tools like this, and it only makes sense. Now, the thing isn't cheap, right? It's $99 to get it, and it's $15 a month. But I'm the type of dad. I think I'm going to get this for my daughters, right? They're in their 20s, and you plop it on the back of your phone, big deal. And then the thing is, if somebody attacks you or whatever, you yank it out. It makes a noise. And then it alerts a company, like it's kind of like a burglar alarm, alerts a company, the GPS is them, and then they send out the authorities, lickety split, right? There's no stopping. Here's the thing. It's cumbersome to stop, dial 911. And usually these guys, you know, when people get attacked, they're usually from behind, right? They're not like in your face, so you have an opportunity to dial 911. So that's the thing I like about it, right? So I think it's great. I don't know why, you know, if you're a broker that really cares about your agents, this would be a good award, right? Like salesperson of the month gets one of these, or all your agents get one of these, or anybody leaving for an open house could go into a basket at the front desk and grab one out of the basket and put it on their phone, and then, you know, return it after the open house. I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that, Pat. Especially just in this day and age, there's so much stuff going on, and so many people concerned with safety. For was this $15 a month, $144 a year? Kind of seems like a no-brainer when we start talking about safety and potentially saving some lives. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So, you know, Pat, sorry not to throw you off, but you brought something up to me earlier. You got an email from a listener of Real Estate Rockstars recently. I think it was actually in the last 24 hours about some new company. Tell us about that if you don't mind.
Remind me?
Yeah, you had a listener email you in regards to one. I don't know if it was a newer iBuyer or a localized iBuyer, but you were telling me about an email that you got, or maybe it was a comment from a Real Estate Rockstar listener
that had their own iBuyer. Oh! I know what I was talking about. Sorry about that. Yeah. So no, I got a call. What it was a voice recording. It was clearly like they used Mojo Dollar, and they said, "Hey, this is Adam. I'm with We Buy Houses for Cash, and you have a house, and I want to talk to you about it." Now I have a lot of houses, so you know I knew it really didn't matter, and I was curious to see what he had to say. So I called him back, and he didn't answer. Went to voicemail, and I said, "Listen, Adam, I got a bunch of houses, but there is one that I want to sell, and there's one that I want to sell because its taxes are really high compared to what it should be, and the rent is not in line with the numbers that I look for. And for a while there, I've wanted to sell it. Matter of fact, I had it in the MLS for $479 about a year ago. So I told him, I left him a message. I said, "Dude, you can go into MLS and see it. Here's the address. I had it for $479. I'll sell it to you with no commission, no transfer tax, $400 flat. There's a tenant in it till August. You inherit the tenant." And I said, "That's it." And he DocuSigned me over an offer the next day for $326. And I just responded, "No." I said, $400. That's it. You know what I mean? I mean, I understand real estate. I don't need to sell. I'm not a desperate seller. I just want to sell it. And I'll wait until the tenant's out, and then I'll just probably multiple list it at $399.9, and it'll probably sell that or close to that. So because it was on the market, I thought it was worth much more than that, but obviously it wasn't. So anyways, I'm starting to see more and more of that. But the whole concept, obviously, of we'll buy your house for cash and make it easy for you it's just interesting. I saw something recently that said, it was somebody quoting this. I don't know, it was Open Doors guy was quoting this. I'm pretty sure I can look it up, but they were saying in 10 years, 50% of all home sales will be iBuyer sales, which I find very hard to believe. What do you think?
I find that a little hard to believe too. I do believe that they're going to be a part of our world, no doubt about it, a large part of our world. 50% feels high to me. This is a hunch, and this is completely just me speculating here. But I think if we've got these entities acting as iBuyers and controlling actually that much of the market, my guess is there's going to be some legislation that has to change in order for that to happen. Now, that is not me suggesting that they do anything illegal or against unlicensed activity by any means, or that they're not licensed. I'm not making any of those statements, but what I am suggesting is we are one of the most regulated industries. We are well known to, when I say we, as realtors, we are well known to have one of the most well-represented groups, trade groups on Capitol Hill. And we have got our best interests, they've always got our best interests at heart. Now, at least when it comes to laws, et cetera. and maybe best interest is a little strong. However, that being said, I do believe there's a lot of built-in protection for the real estate agent. Don't mean that we can rely on that and that we can build a career on hopefully getting by because of our lobbyists. However, I do believe in order for something like that to go that big, we're going to have to, we would absolutely have to have some sort of change in laws, et cetera, if it was to ever get that big. So that's my guess, but what do I know? 50% just seems really high to me, Pat.
I want you to think about the word toolbox. What is a toolbox? A toolbox is a box full of tools that you use to build something great. At Real Estate Rockstars, we've created our own free toolbox. So everybody that comes on the show as a guest brings a tool with them, and we plow them all into this toolbox, and we give it away for our viewing audience to basically use as they wish. Everything we put in there is an actionable item that can be downloaded, can be printed, can be used immediately. And we got things like scripts and dialogues, checklists for teams, checklists to keep agents accountable, referral forms that are filled out at settlement to get referrals by your buyers and sellers. Everything you could think of that you could use on a regular basis about real estate is included in this toolbox, and it's helping agents worldwide sell more houses and make their jobs a lot easier and processes much more efficient. And the thing is, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is go to hibandigital.com/toolbox or text the word toolbox to 444-999. That's toolbox 444-999. Do it now. Hey, real estate agents and rock stars. If you're getting value out of the content in this episode, make sure you like the video and subscribe to this channel. Also, click the little bell icon to be notified about upcoming episodes. And I would also love it if you left a comment and shared the most impactful tips and tactics you've learned from the knowledge shared in this episode, or even maybe make a suggestion requesting a topic of what you'd like to learn in future episodes. I welcome any feedback below. Now, back to the episode.
I mean, it just seems odd. I think that obviously they're thinking that, you know, the offers will get, no, it's just way too much. You know what I mean? I mean, right now the number's 3%. 3. So 3% of all deals are like iBuyer deals where they say, we'll buy your home for cash. They throw out the offer, the people say yes, and it's done, right? Online without sight unseen. I just don't see that. I mean, you know, the need for speed is probably bigger than it ever was before, but I just can't help but feel that it's not necessary, that there's not that many people that can't wait for a real estate agent to come out and look at it, and that there's not that many people that can't wait for a house to be put in the MLS and create an auction type atmosphere on it. You know, it's just dumb. It's just like I get it if you're like desperate and you haven't paid your bills and you need to pay, you know, you need money for something. But, you know, having an auction with one person there is the worst auction for the seller and the best auction for the buyer. Having an auction with, you know, 100 or 1,000 people there is the best auction for a seller and the worst auction for a buyer. And that's what the MLS does. You know, it creates an auction. And I just can't believe there'll be 50% of the population will be that, you know, much in a hurry. I just don't see it.
I'm with you. Obviously they've got their place and they'll probably continue to grow. You mentioned the number 3%. That number's most likely going to get bigger if I had to bet on it. And we'll see what happens. But if I had to bet, my bet's going to be on the under. It's definitely not going to be 50%.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. I think somebody will invent, you know, certainly ways will be invented by real estate companies and by companies that aren't real estate companies where a marketplace will exist where, you could probably match a buyer and a seller online, like an eBay, right? And I think you're going to see a lot of ingenuity in that. I just don't know if you're going to see a lot of ingenuity in the whole thing with, the flipping end of it, right? The whole flipping end of it. Eventually, the margins on the flip have to shrink for everybody, all flippers and iBuyers. They just have to shrink, and time on the market increases, and thereby, the interest that you pay on owning a house increases because of the time, and everything changes. But it'll be interesting. So, hey, I wanted to mention, they have this thing, Fintech. They call it the Fintech 50, and there's 50 financial companies, right, that are highlighted in their top 50, and 6 of them happen to be real estate companies. Now, I'm going to just read them off real quick, but most of them have to do with real estate investing, which we don't go into a lot on this show. But there's one called Blend, right, which is for mortgage companies, and it blends mortgage and title. It's blending mortgage and title. Not mortgage, mortgage and insurance, homeowners insurance, right? There's one called Cadre, which is, allows high net worth individuals and institutional investors to buy and sell commercial multifamily real estate at lower fees than a private equity fund. A private equity fund might charge 2 and 20, which is, 2% management and then 20% of the upside when the thing goes to sell. Whatever profit, they get 20% of the profit, and that's a pretty good deal. But this kind of scratches the record on that. Fundrise, which basically you can start investing in real estate for as little as $500, right? You can invest in anything, apartment buildings, shopping centers, stuff like that. Lending Home. So this is interesting. So Lending Home, and there's been companies like this around, but it's the same sort of thing. But you, as somebody with money or an investor, can lend people money online or get into a pool where you're lending people money, and then they're using that money to flip homes with, to get hard money loans. And so it's for house flipping, and the rates and the deals for the house flippers, according to this, tend to be better. And it's a way for outside people to get involved in the lending game. And then, of course, the one that made it that we've talked a lot about is Open Door, right? And then basically their thing says uses data and algorithms to value and buy homes sight unseen in 20 cities, delivering cash to seller in a matter of days, minus a service charge averaging 7%. That's it. It's basically a hardcore flipper. They have $1 billion in funding, including $400 million from SoftBank Vision Fund recently, valued at $2 billion, buying homes at a run rate of around $3.8 billion a year. And then it goes into the partners. One dude, J.D. Ross, 28 years old. And then there's another one, Roofstock, which is provides tools for investors on, buying homes and renting them out, and offers a guarantee for people that want to buy homes that are maybe not in their area, or, it just basically makes investing a lot more easy and comfortable for people out there. So anyway. Yeah. It was interesting that the 6 over 10% were real estate companies. What's your thought?
Yeah, that was the thing that stuck out to me there, is the percentage of these Fintech 50, these supposedly top 50 Fintech companies, that over 10% of them are in the real estate space. That speaks volumes to me. And it reminds me of the conversation we just had about how, what percentage of iBuyer deals can get there, right? How high can they go? And what this says to me as I think about that is there's going to be a lot of competition, and it's going to raise the game of everybody involved. And so as there's more and more tools, now I realize all these companies that you just talked about, none of them necessarily are helping you and me as the real estate agent. However, what this does say to me is there is a lot of money out there working on new tech and making the consumer experience easier, better, more up to date, et cetera. And I got to believe that there's plenty of these companies, maybe not necessarily these 6, that are putting their effort towards helping the realtors, helping the real estate brokerages, helping the average everyday loan officers, et cetera, to be able to stay competitive and remain in the, quite frankly, in a job. So I think it's interesting. It's definitely a sign of the times, and I'll be curious to see how this FinTech 50 list plays out next year, as far as how many of them are sort of in our space as real estate agents.
Yeah. Well, lots going on there. Lots going on. All right, buddy. Anything else you want to cover today?
I think that's it for today. Good talk. There's certainly a lot of news going on out there, and lots of stuff about the different brokerages. Obviously, with Inman last week, it seemed like to spark a bunch of conversations. I'll be curious to see what happens with the market. Something you and I talked about as well last week over the next as we start to approach spring. So a lot of stuff to be excited about, and I'm complete for today, though.
That's awesome, dude. All right, Kev. So I'll see you next week, and thanks for coming on State of the Market.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure, Pat, and all the listeners. Take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon.
Welcome, Rockstar Nation. Thanks for tuning into the State of the Market podcast with your host, Pat Hyben and Kevin Kaufman.
Thank you so much for listening to the State of the Market. If you have any news you would like us to cover, please go to Next Level Agents on Facebook or send an email to info@rebusuniversity.com. That's info@rebusuniversity, REBUS, university.com, and we'll be sure to bring it up.